Hey, everybody, welcome to our UT opponent preview of the Alabama Crimson Tide, Tennessee's opponent on Saturday at Neyland Stadium, third Saturday in October, the 101st meeting between the two schools. I'm Vince Ferrara. Boy, there is so much familiarity between these two schools, and you guys know Jeremy Pruitt, Tennessee head coach, former Alabama assistant, and former Tennessee coach Butch Jones, an offensive analyst for the Crimson Tide. He'll be on Alabama's sideline in the game. Alabama brings in ridiculous numbers. I mean, you guys know 11 straight wins in the series for Alabama, and since the Cody 2 blocked field goal game, 6 of the 8 games since then have been Alabama wins by 30 or more points. So it really hasn't been close or competitive. The numbers, the history, the results have shown that. Alabama's won 22 straight games over the SEC East. How about 79 straight wins over non-ranked opponents? Nick Saban, 14-0 against his former assistants, and only 2 of those games have been decided by 17 or less. One was their season opener against Florida State and Jimbo Fisher. That was a 17-point win for Bama. And the other, Kirby Smart, a 3-point win for Bama in the national championship game. And then what Alabama's doing offensively is just ridiculous. 7 games in a row with 500 or more yards of total offense. 18 scoring drives of a minute or less. How about 9 scoring drives of 30 seconds or less? So they jump out on you quick, and Tennessee has got to start better than they have previously. Tennessee's only scored on their first possession twice this year. Against Auburn, against UTEP, they had field goals. So they've got to prevent getting in a big hole. Alabama also leads the nation in pass efficiency, scoring offense, total offense. Alabama's outscored their opponents in the first quarter, 137-31. In the first half, 268-50. I mean, those are blowout high school numbers there. It's just incredible. Now, what about the questions about Alabama? Is this maybe the first game where they might not be as sharp or play a rough game or overlook their opponent? Haven't done it yet, but maybe it could happen at some point. And then another question a lot of people have raised is, what about Tua Tagovailoa, Alabama's special quarterback? He re-aggravated his knee injury that he had last week against Missouri, and some people have suggested that maybe he sits out this game, and then they have the open week next week and get a couple weeks rest and get ready for LSU and the stretch run for Alabama. I would be surprised if that happens. Tua has practiced this week. I'm sure he wants to play, and Alabama may take the approach of, hey, let's get up big, and then we'll go to Jalen Hurts early and leave him in maybe a little bit longer. But it's incredible what this kid has done. And then if he does play, how will he play? So that's to be determined as well. And one other thing I'll say about this game from that standpoint is, if things don't go well for Tennessee in this game, don't be mad at Tennessee. This is the status of these programs that are so far apart right now. And yes, everybody's got a shot. Big upsets happen, but if things don't go well, don't hold it up to the standard of Alabama for Tennessee right now. Judge them what they do against South Carolina and then moving forward. And for them, hopefully continuing on that momentum that they had from the win over Auburn. Now, what about this Alabama team? People say, oh, well, their defense isn't as good as they typically are. Well, statistically, you could say that, but what they do is they turn you over, they sack the quarterback, and they don't give up points, and they're always playing from ahead. So they're giving up some garbage yards and things like that. So they have Isaiah Buggs, senior defensive end, who's tied for the leader in sacks in the SEC with 7.5. Christian Miller, linebacker, has 4.5. Those two combined with their 12 sacks, that's what Tennessee has as a team. They're so talented, 5 stars everywhere. And then offensively, we talked about Tua. I mean, his numbers are just insanity. 21 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, thrown for 1,760 yards, 72% completion percentage, only turned the ball over once. He has 1 fumble, and that was last week while being sacked. I mean, this kid is legitimately different and special, different from everybody else. What he has done for that offense to catapult them. They've got other talent too, but he is just a different cat. If you get a chance to watch him and appreciate what kind of kid he is. And then from Tennessee standpoint, they're still recruiting his younger brother, Talia. So that's a factor as well. And then from Alabama's receivers, Jerry Jeudy averaging about 27 yards per catch and leading the nation. They're deep at wide receiver. They're deep and talented at running back. They have one of the better offensive lines in the country. You just go on Alabama. They just legitimately are that good. If they're playing up to their level, I don't think anybody can compete with them. Now, the must-watch most matchup in this game, I think it is Trey Smith, Tennessee left tackle, against Isaiah Buggs, who is the sack leader for Alabama. So Trey Smith is a 5-star. Alabama wanted him. Everybody wanted him. Basically came down to Tennessee and Alabama for Trey Smith. Maybe a couple other schools in the mix too, but he knows all about Alabama, and this is a great game for him to display what he is all about. And he's got the 5-star talent to match up with what Alabama brings to the table. He's got to have his best game. Obviously, Jared Garantano's got to have his best game, Tennessee's defensive line. A lot of guys have to come up big for Tennessee to have a shot in this game. But Trey Smith versus Isaiah Buggs on that offensive line and defensive line, I think that's the matchup to watch the most that could play a big part in that ball game. That's going to wrap it up for our preview of Alabama. Next week, we'll take a look at the South Carolina Gamecocks, Tennessee on the road in Columbia, South Carolina. I'm Vince Ferrara. Go to sportsradiownml.com for a ton more daily coverage on the Tennessee Volunteers. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the game, everybody.